Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
We were both alive during the late 20th century.
This is true.
This is true. If you were, here's something you remember, especially certainly in the United States. Nothing ever said government business or urban taxi more than the Ford Motor Company's Crown Victoria, manufactured from 1991 to September 15, 2011. There's a moment here. I pulled something totally weird from this minute because we have a big thing to talk about. We have many big things to talk about in this minute. Yes. But I want, because of that, I just wanted to pull something totally ridiculous. We see a couple cars parked outside of a certain building. They are clearly Crown Vics. And I got to say, it made me just think about the time when the American four-door sedan was a tank.
Oh, yes.
Like, people forget, like, today, if you're listening today and you think cars, no. In the 80s and the 90s, cars were these massive rectangular boxes. The engine compartment was the size of a small bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, the trunk was the size of your closet. It blows my mind to think back at that time.
In high school, one of my friends, Jeremiah, who does not listen to the show, but shout out to him anyways. He had an old Crown Vic, like a 78 or whatever, like an old one, and it had a V8 engine in it. 8 cylinders. It's huge. Right. At one point, I could get on the hood of his car and go full starfish and only touch each side. I'm a 6 foot tall man, and I would reach up and I would basically me in an X shape would cover the whole thing, and basically my feet touching the headlights. It was gigantic.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, and obviously with these big engines and these big cars came horrible gas mileage.
Yes.
Which, there's the reason why we transitioned. You don't see these today. Car manufacturers not making them because, one, fuel economy, and two, the SUV just took over all of this. Nobody needed or wanted those big cars anymore. But it just made me, I always think and reminisce about that and now the Crown Vic, you said 78. That was probably an LTD Crown Vic.
Probably,
because that was the name was an Ford LTD. The Crown Vic became like the sub name to it, and then they ended up just getting rid of the LTD because who's driving an LTD in the 90s?
I could be wrong about that, but I know it was of the 70s because it looked like
exactly.
It too.
No, and I mean these are just iconic. When you see older movies set in those time frames, you'll see these cars. It's just amazing, and they were predominantly then marketed towards law enforcement and taxi commuter. In the days before Uber and other things, we had these cars. That and the Chevy Caprice, man. Big bulky cars that was the most inefficient way to do a certain job. That has nothing to do with this minute.
No. People are not here to talk about big cars. They're here to talk about big Easter eggs at minute 115 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. And we pick up where we left off, which is on the roof of Jon Favreau's childhood home. So we have a Rhodey in his War Creeper armor. He's in the middle of a sentence, and so we get to finally hear the end of that sentence. So he says, obviously, as we talked about last time, in ADR, he says, "My car got taken out in the explosion." Weird. So I'm going to have to hang on to your suit for a minute, okay?
Oh, yes.
And then Tony says, not okay. Not okay with that. Already he's wanting the suit back, which is I thought we're past this. I guess now he's not dying. He wants it back.
Messing with him.
Yeah. So this is what I love about Rhodey, though. Rhodey, he's funny. Not funny. So Rhodey says, it wasn't a question. And he chink, down goes the metal thing, and off he flies. So he takes off into the sky. And then Tony, as they're flying away, I guess apparently this was also ADR to make sure that people knew that Pepper Potts was not stepping down. He says, "How are you going to resign if I don't accept?" So that's it. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a picture wrap on Gwyneth Paltrow.
Hey,
that's it. She's going home. She's got a website to start.
She's got other stuff.
She's got products to sell.
So wait, two things on this.
Yes.
So yes, they do clearly add in that part because they want you to know that she's not stepping down.
No.
Right?
She's still going to be CEO of Stark Industries.
we get that part.
Yeah.
The other thing I have to mention is maybe perhaps the worst matte effect in the entire movie is that there's this weird way of, and they didn't need to do this. I don't know why they actually did this. They wanted to do this crane shot of them kind of like going up above them as they embrace in this final moment. And because of that, you're trying to match the scene of the expo, and then it pans down on what is an actual road. That would be Interstate 678.
Oh, there you go.
Which is the interstate that goes around the New York State Pavilion. So that all makes sense. Totally fine in terms of we know we love our movie geography. So that's there.
Right.
But the traffic is weird. The whole place just blew up.
Yeah.
It looks like a traffic on a Friday night. The perspective doesn't change. It's just weird. I'm not a fan of that shot, but anyway, it's fine. That's all.
Well, I say it is May 31st, and I know that because I did my homework. Because, see, what happens here is while we get a picture wrap on Gwyneth, we have a full wipe that goes to the next scene. However, that wipe encompasses a lot of time. So to talk about what happens between them on the rooftop and where we find Tony next, we're going to have to go meanwhile in the MCU.
Oh, I love this. I'm so glad this is back.
And this might be the most eventful meanwhile in the MCU in Marvel Movie Minute history.
Whoa.
I won't say ever because there's still more movies to come. But This is May 31st. So this is the evening of May 31st. That is the day that the Stark Expo happens. So the battle at the Stark Expo happens. While it's happening in Asgard, Odin is berating Thor for his reckless actions. You are a rude boy, this is where he strips him. I cast you out. This is when that is happening. This is 17 days after the Hulk is ambushed in Rio de Janeiro, and on this day, Bruce has arrived at Culver University. Talking about creepers, remember Creeper Bruce?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, this is the day that he's stalking Betty Ross and not letting him know that he's back. At the same time, in Oklahoma, Jane Foster, Eric Selvig, and our own lovely Darcy Lewis, soon to be Dr. Darcy Lewis, have detected a possible Einstein-Rosen bridge and are examining it. And while these two are kissing on the roof, they are running over Thor.
What?
Remember when he shows up and they knock him out and he pops back up and they hit him with the taser? That's happening on the same day. This is also the same day that Bruce goes to get a slice of pizza at Stanley Lieber's pizza place. He's up in the upstairs bedroom the same day. So Bruce is getting his, putting the sheets on that Stanley has gotten for him and setting up in that weird 70s influenced room that we talked about.
The fish on the wall. We talked about that.
And also, Coulson has been driving this whole time, and he stops at a gas station on his way to Roswell, and it turns out the place is being robbed, and so, being the good citizen that he is, he helps stop the robbery. And you'll find that story in the Easter egg. A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer, which was an Easter egg, one of the one shots that was on the Blu-rays, which I think you can now find maybe on Vimeo. It's one of those things where they have still never put these out anywhere that you can get to them. Like, they're doing some great stuff on Disney Plus. Please put these out. Just have a section in the Marvel thing of one shots and put these. There's only 4 of them. Put them out. We need to see them. They're really good. Okay, so that's this. Okay, so then that's May 31st. So this happens. So then what happens now? Okay, June 1st. This is when the locals discover that a hammer has fallen from the sky, and then they start to try and figure out how to get it out of there. Coulson arrives in New Mexico. Loki discovers that he's actually a frost giant. Bruce Banner decides that he's going to sneak into the university and deliver pizzas.
Well, because we know pizza is the way they passed any type of encryption. But
exactly. And then the evening of June 1st is when Thor breaks into the shield installation that they had put up and tries to take back Mjolnir and finds out he's not worthy. And as one last thing on this very eventful day of June 1st, Emil Blonsky receives his first injection of the biotech enhancement serum.
Wow.
That's one day. That's June 1st. That's one day. This is why they call this Fury's Big Week, because all this stuff is happening at the same time. So June 2nd, Sif and the Warriors 3 arrive on Earth, and Loki sends the Destroyer after them. While that's happening, on the other side of the country, Bruce Banner is being attacked by the military because it's the battle at Culver University, which, if you follow the comic books, Natasha Romanoff was also there observing this whole thing.
Right.
Let's see, there's S.H.I.E.L.D. is monitoring all sorts of stuff going on in New Mexico, Europe, Africa, and the Atlantic Ocean. I still don't know what that is about. And this day, in the midday, while this battle is happening, or it has just happened in the morning, the afternoon, Tony Stark is brought in to have a conversation with Nick Fury.
What day is this?
This is June 2nd. So we left it on May 31st was the Battle of Stark Expo. This is 2 days later. So this is June 2nd. This is the afternoon of June 2nd. So the battle, so when we start this one, there's a nondescript building. We don't know what's going on. Inside, we see some on it. The footage you're seeing, that's a live piece of footage that's happening now. Like the battle at Culver University has just happened.
Wow.
Like that's the news report is going out. It's probably, I mean, like he might have had a recording of it or whatever, but like that happened that day. So the Hulk battling in the university. So the Hulk events of the Hulk are still going on. The Hulk has not gotten to New York yet. This is still him in Virginia having this battle.
Okay.
So like right now, so like as they're having this conversation, as Nick Fury is sitting down to talk to Tony Stark, he is also actively tracking the Hulk and dealing with the horrible things that happened in Oklahoma. I was using interchangeable. I'm sorry, New Mexico. Oklahoma.
New Mexico.
New Mexico in the movies. Sorry. My fandoms sometimes blend.
Okay,
yes, so he has just dealt with that. So everyone now knows that there are aliens who look like Norse gods and are reeling from that, while the Hulk is actually active and rampaging through the East Coast, and no one knows where he is.
Okay, I can't believe. Here's the thing: when we've talked about this, what I cannot get over in this, and we've talked about the Nick Fury's the busy week, and just if you're just somebody minding his own business in not the world, in the United States of America, if in a matter of 3 days, a massive incident happened at this World Expo.
Yes.
A large green creature, rumors are, and there's footage of this going on at this university. Something's happening in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Would you not become a little tiny bit worried?
Right? It's like, hey guys, you remember 2020?
Yeah,
it was just like one thing after another. This was one thing after another. It was like the one day you get it, you like go on you open up the paper, you go on AOL News, whatever it was in 2010. I don't even remember. What people getting the news from Facebook and then? I don't even know. And you're like, what happened in New Jersey? What happened with Iron Man? Is something blew up and there's a guy with whips and robots and what? And then you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do with that. The next day you wake up and like, what happened in Oklahoma? It happened in New Mexico? Like, wait, another robot?
Can you imagine? and put the sensibilities of today against this backdrop. Can you imagine the conspiracy theories, the things that would be going on?
Because
like people
it was
would be saying
over subsequent days. So it's like one day was the drone attack, the next day was the destroyer attack, and the next day was the Hulk battle.
Dude, Hydra trolls,
3 days.
Like the Hydra troll internet farms would just be going nuts. What?
I know.
Oh my God.
Artem Zola must have been like, this is amazing.
It is the time for us to act.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. All right. So, okay. So
someone call Straka. I've got some ideas.
I love that we cut then to this nondescript. It basically looks like an abandoned warehouse. We got our Crown Vics outside. And then not only do I love the Crown Vics, the matching Crown Vics, but then you got Tony's car, which is not parked in any type of parking spot. It just rolls right up to the door.
Right.
We clearly know something's going on. And then we cut to the shot inside.
I assume this is still the East Coast, that Tony is still there dealing with the fallout. I mean, this is what I'm guessing, because that's where probably Fury would want to be, because he's actively tracking the Hulk. I mean, like, the Hulk events are going on. Like, the Thor stuff has sort of resolved itself to a certain extent, even though, like, I'm sure Coulson is dealing with it.
Did you find? I didn't find where this location was, where this was filmed. The exterior shot of the building.
No, I couldn't. It was I couldn't. I couldn't even tell if it was like proper second unit photography or if they just took an existing footage and they just CG'd cars in. It looks like they actually put the cars there.
Yeah, no,
but no, I couldn't find where it was. When they get inside, then obviously Tony Stark is sitting at a table. There are blue monitor walls sort of put around there.
Transparent LCDs, which are really nice. A real technology that you can actually buy. We think we've talked about this even.
Yeah, exactly.
You can buy these televisions.
I don't know why someone would want one, but hey, technology is technology.
Look really cool.
I guess so. So then they're looking at the monitor on the side, and we see a very familiar news report.
Yes.
And there she is, our favorite Canadian reporter. It's Ji-Yoon Lee, an actual Canadian reporter who also does the job of serving as a news reporter for a ton of movies and television shows.
Quite the side hustle.
Yes.
If we haven't said.
We did. I think we did, because we talked a lot about her, because she's like the main character on screen during The Incredible Hulk. That footage you're seeing is actually a clip from the Incredible Hulk movie. So yeah, and you can go back to our reporting on that in the Marvel Movie Minute Season 2. We talked a lot about her. So then we have, as Tony's sitting there and bored, he flips over and he sees that there are some files in front of him. And one of them is labeled the Avengers Initiative Preliminary Report. Now, if you remember, going all the way back to Iron Man 1, there was an Easter egg of Nick Fury showing up, talking to Tony Stark about something called the Avengers Initiative. And that's the last time we've heard about that. Now, like we saw, there's an Easter egg in the Hulk, which we'll talk about, where he talks about getting together a group of people, but he does not say the A word. And now this is the next time we see the A word. Now, by this point, we knew that was on their plans. Like, they were planning on getting to an Avengers movie, so we were sort of building up to it. But in universe, this is the next time we had actually heard the A word. So Tony's then not allowed to look at that, though.
Now, can I just say one thing I just love in the detail on this?
Sure.
So this document that he turns around is reading, and he reads the cover, Avengers Initiative Preliminary Report. We see the SHIELD logo, the older SHIELD logo, but it's a particular division. It's the logistics division.
Uh-huh.
I love the fact that there's a whole group of people that are just here to, which, as we'll find out, there's one of our agents that was designed to write this report. But the idea that there's just a group of people in a room figuring out the pieces on the board.
Sure.
And how they interact and what we should do and their threat analysis and ally analysis. That's
almost
awesome.
a parliament of interesting people who help guide where things are going with the Avengers. Interesting.
If you've been watching the Marvel Movie Minute live, let's go all the way back to our first. No.
This is like 6 months later. It's fine. They probably will have disavowed Parliament by this point.
I'm glad I've got. Well, I'm going to cut this out.
That was just for you.
Glad that we have this little moment here to remember this day.
Right. Hey, future us. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the Black Widow movie.
Yeah. No kidding.
I'm assuming. So Nick Fury then slams the folder down and says, "I don't think I want you looking at that. I'm not sure it pertains to you anymore. Now this, on the other hand, is Agent Romanoff's assessment of you. Read it." So he hands another file. He takes back the initiative file and he hands him another file. And so Tony then begins to read the file. And it says, this is the words of Natasha Romanoff. She says, "Personality overview. Mr. Stark displays compulsive behavior." Fair enough, I think. I mean, we have seen that he can be a little bit obsessive compulsive. Tony said, "In my own defense, that was last week." Like, which is true. I mean, technically last week is when she spent the most time with him, and that going there, and he has changed since then, but has he?
Dog years. I mean, we've said that.
That's right.
Dog years. Last week is like 10 years ago in his life.
Her next piece of assessment is prone to self-destructive tendencies.
Well, I mean,
his defense of that is, of course, "I was dying." And that is literally where the minute ends.
Yeah. Now, so interesting. Obviously, this conversation will have an ending. You got to tune in for the next minute.
Right.
Something else we got to talk about. So as this whole conversation is going on, we cut to this really cool crane shot. And it's really nicely lit. We see these 5 of these big transparent LCD displays that are around them. We see that actually now we also see the logistics division is the entire logo. It's for this whole area. So Nick is the one who is obviously figuring out what is going on. And there's more of the shot of the WHIH news report from Culver University. But in the back, there is a map of the world. And on this map, are a few highlights. Now, there have been great sites that have gone through the deep dive on this. We're gonna go over them just very quickly.
Yeah.
But incredible amount of information.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal.
Man, before you dig into it, Jon Favreau has said, if you think we didn't talk for hours about every single thing that's on that map, you're crazy.
They had to.
Yes.
They had to.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, what a labor of love when you see something like this is we're getting close to the end of this wrap up, and we'll have a lot to say as we get to the credits.
Sure.
Here's the deal. Let's again a shout out to everyone who labors so much in love for telling these stories. Because the fact that they thought that through on a panel that is in the background of this scene, they know who's gonna analyze this in the theater, right? How many times are you gonna see the movie to even talk about this?
They're thinking maybe some of the people are gonna buy it on Blu-ray and pause it.
Oh,
but this was pre-streaming.
This is unbelievable. So much thought went into this, and to know that they've had these discussions, they went through all this, man. This is we're the people who love this kind of stuff. Yeah. So,
and let's remind everybody, third film. This is the third film in the MCU, still owned by Paramount. Yes. This is Marvel Studios is still just a young upstart. This is like the sequel to the only one that had been successful. The Incredible Hulk movie was barely made money.
2010.
Yes.
This is not. Yeah. This is the beginnings.
The audacity of this is astounding, and I love it.
So we're going to start from the left to the right. We're going to start with the west coast of the United States and then move our way to the right.
Mm-hmm.
First point of information is we see the highlight of Tony Stark's Malibu house.
Sure.
So boom, we got that. We know stuff's been going on there.
Yep. We know that's where the Iron Man armor is stored.
Correct.
So, I mean, there are probably 4 suits of armor in there.
Right.
I don't know how he got there. I assume that the other one's with him.
Right. We got that. Second point of interest is it's New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Thor's arrival, the hammer, we know what's going on there. That's there. And this is the part of we're still just this movie. Thor is in production.
Yes.
During the post-production of this movie.
Right.
So they kind of have that plan, but yes, that's awesome that they're even giving you this little seed. There'll be more to discuss on this later, but anyway, yes. Yeah. So that's there. The next one is, we have New York City, because in our previous season, we talked about the big Hulk versus Abomination sequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
There has been a big battle that has just taken place, and forces are on the ground doing the cleanup and figuring everything out there. The next one, we go over to Greenland. Because why? Who's in Greenland? A capsicle. Captain America is, I mean, and that was alluded to we talked about a deleted scene in The Incredible Hulk. That's already connected. The stuff there is moving forward on that.
Yeah.
Now we move over to the next dot here is in Norway. This involves both Thor and Captain America.
Yeah.
We will see this play out later on. And then here's the 2 crazy ones. There is a space in Africa that is Wakanda.
Ibombe?
I mean, how the fact that that's already on the radar in here, right?
Yeah.
That
would be, from this point, 9 years in the future before they would actually get to a full movie explaining that. I mean, obviously,
Civil War.
T'Challa shows up earlier, but
right, exactly.
Until the movie proper. Yeah.
Okay, and then there is the one that is yet to be determined.
Right. There's still the thing that's come up a couple of times.
There is a dot in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
So Atlantis, Namor.
Right? Maybe.
That's what they're planting the seeds for, right?
Maybe. But at the time, Namor was still owned by, I think it was Universal. Or was it Fox? Namor's been bounced around a couple of times. Because I know the Fantastic Four characters were with Fox for the longest time until Disney bought Fox. But Namor, I believe, was owned by Universal. And so they're the ones who had first right to make a movie. So I wouldn't think it would be Namor because I don't think they would put something out there for something they didn't control. However, they were in the thing, they had just licensed sort of the Hulk back from Universal, so maybe they were looking at that. But yeah, that's the interesting one, is because in all of the adventures, even the adventures of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they never really did it much with like a possible hotspot in the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, that's the one that still is a mystery even here now 10 years later.
Okay, how incredible is it? Like, okay, let's say 5 years from now, we're in like phase 5, I guess, right?
Yeah,
or whatever.
Right.
Maybe we're even on the cusp of phase 6.
Yeah.
And then they finally get to this. They work out whatever the rights deal are, and there's still, there is still some.
There's still a couple of things out there. Marvel does not own everything of their characters at this point.
But can you imagine they finally get to it? And can you imagine doing some sort of flashback sequence with Nick Fury when he's having this conversation with Tony Stark?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, that they have him just like as he gets up and walks, like you do the de-aging to get Samuel L. Jackson to how he looked in 2009 when they shot this, and then like they literally have him walking away from the table and being like, "Tell me what's going on with Namor," and then like they bring up the thing and like they go right to it, and then he flies out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could do that, or you could do it where he's having this conversation with whoever the person is that's going to interface with that. And then the door opens and you see Tony Stark walking, and he's like, "I gotta go."
Yeah, I gotta do this meeting right now.
What?
Yeah, because interestingly, when they talked about, and when we get to the end of the scene, we'll talk more about the post-credit scene for Incredible Hulk, because that ties in there. But when they pitched that to Jon Favreau, like when he was doing Iron Man, they're saying like, "Oh, also there's going to be this scene in there." He's like, "That doesn't make any sense," and Kevin Feige in like, whatever 2000 and what was Iron Man 2007
2008 2008 well no creating it 2007 2008
so like said, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be in chronological order. I was like, oh man, even then, movie one, he was still thinking about the fact that no, it doesn't have to be in chronological order. It can have multiple things in the timeline. Oh, come on.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
this is and whether it was intentional or not, or even if
or they're just good at like giving themselves space in which to work,
dreaming big,
right,
reaching for the stars. That's awesome.
Because anyway. I mean, even the creators of the Dark Universe dreamed big, but not quite big enough, darling.
No, all right.
So
yes, a lot of details hidden in there.
Yeah, there'll be more to talk about as we get into the debrief that we're going on here. So we're going to see that. So make sure you're back here for minute 116 as we continue the deep dive into what else is going on in the world and what Nick Fury has been up to. In the meantime, while you're waiting, why not exit through the gift shop? That's right, we've got our very own merch store. So you can head over there, find our Marvel Movie Minute paraphernalia. You can get our lovely logo on whatever you'd like, plus a bunch of different stuff from all the different shows. If we can sweet talk our overlords, maybe we can even try and get some of our other fan art stuff in there, some of the fun things that we've talked about over the last 115 plus minutes. Who knows? Yeah, keep checking the shop. You never know what kind of cool stuff will be in there. That will be just what you're looking for. Make sure you're back here for minute 116 as we sort of start to wrap up and transfer over into the credit sequence. We're really going to get weird here on the Marvel Movie Minute, and you don't want to miss it. Enough said.
Bye.